How you all going? The old Chev outside. Another filthy hot day. 40 odd degrees. And you can see we've got some wind going on. It's like standing behind a bloody jet engine. That is hot. And 3 weeks of this stuff, man, it's burning me up. And I feel sorry for all you other guys around the world that are suffering with pretty crazy sort of weather at the moment, but I guess it's going on everywhere. Anyway, I'm going to do a little video set of some stuff I'm going to do to the old Chevy. As I said, you can see it's outside. We've got some renovation stuff going on. And consequently, the old girl's outside for a little bit anyway. And just before I go on with that, a couple of things haven't actually been bothering me, but I just thought it was a strange thing, you know. We're all supposed to be fairly intelligent people. We all get onto YouTube, we put some clips up. All of my stuff, 98% of it is all car guy stuff. I watch car guy videos, I watch car guy channels. I'm subbed to plenty, and I got quite a few subs to me too, and friends and so forth. And I really don't see why there should be a problem with anybody putting up anything that they want to put up. You know, there's always that exit button if you don't like what you see, and of course you can punch that button too if you don't like what you see what I'm doing. But it kind of pains me a bit because, you know, there's some real nice blokes out there, and a lot of the blokes don't need the grief and the drama and stuff. There's enough going on all over the place. So for you guys that are suffering a little bit with you know, that anal bullshit that's been going on the tube there, I'll give it a couple of turns with that, eh? Through my old bullshit grinder. Alright. That's it, mate. Bullshit's over. Now let's get on with it. And let's see more car guy stuff and not so much drama. Or am I going to have to go watching Days of Our Lives or something? I don't know. But anyway, my big, I go out there and I'll uncover it, and I'll give you a bit of a walk around in a moment. If I can handle this heat, it's just bullshit, I tell you. But anyway, my side of car guy stuff, I like watching a lot of the panel stuff, because I'm not a panel beater, I'm not a body man, I'm not anything like that. I'm not a painter, I'm not a repairer, a customizer. I'm a motor mechanic, and my things, you know, what makes it roll down the road, what makes it stop, what makes it steer, what makes it go. And my old Chevy here, she suffers a little bit in the handling department. We've got to remember that this is an 83-year-old veteran, transplant recipient, and it's got some different technologies about it. The drivetrain and the gearbox and the rear axle are all out of a 92 model motor car, Holden Commodore. And the front end, of course, if you've seen my other videos of the walk around the Chev and under the Chev, you probably see that it's got rack and pinion steering, it's got a cross member and the control arms from a 1967 Holden HR, and so it could fit bigger brakes on it to go with the Commodore ones on the back, which are disc. It's got a 74, 75, 76 WB stub axles and discs and rotors and discs and calipers on it, and that just runs through the normal Holden master cylinder and brake booster, and there's the proportioning valve is built into the master cylinder on these things, and yeah, it stops quite well and does things pretty well. But I'll get the cover off and I'll just walk you through a couple of things. I've got to get this thing to steer a little better. Because when you can see my hand, I'll just come out in the light a little bit. When you're driving down the road, what the fuck is that? Something. Anyway, when you're driving down the road and you go to turn a corner, lots of things happen on your car, and it all depends on how you set up the suspension. Now on this particular car, it's got rake. You know what I'm talking about? It's got rake. Low at the front, up at the back, and that changes the roll centre. And if you're not sure about roll centre, just go onto Google and just punch in roll centre, and it'll explain a lot of it to you. But it's got to be relative the front roll centre to the back roll centre. Well, my car at speed, which makes it really scary when you're just doing the 60 k's around town and whatever. But when you're going down the freeway, the motorway, whatever you want to call it, and you just give it a little turn, even to change lanes, it feels like it wants to understeer. It feels like, I don't know if you can see it, feels like the body's sort of tipping down. If I'm going to turn to the right, it feels like the body's tipping down, and the back corner on the right hand side is lifting up, which gives it a really uneasy feeling. And so, of course, as I say, well, as soon as it does that, and I'm used to it now, so I know not to overcorrect it. But as soon as you turn, it does this dippy thing, and then it starts to do the turn. And then when you straighten up again, it goes the other way, and the back comes down, and the front left-hand side comes up, which almost makes it feel like an oversteer. So you've got like an understeer when you turn in, and an oversteer as you turn out. And this is only just changing lanes. We're talking like 110 k's an hour, or 70 miles an hour, whatever. That's not a good thing. That's a scary thing. When I first, and it's partly because the whole geometry of the suspension's been not put together to be safe. Well, it's safe, I mean, as far as anything falling off it, but it's not been put together with the thoughts of drivability, I suppose, because, you know, back in the day, you'd have your car sitting like that on the road, and we all did. You know, we jacked the back up so we could get some big fat tyres under it, put the front down on the ground because we thought that was really good for it. In effect, you know, the whole deal was you get the launch and you get a little bit of front. It helps push the back into the ground, and you put those big shackles and shit on the side. But you know, this has got rake on it. The front end is lowered as low as it can legally be, and I'm going to raise the front up an inch, and the rear, which has got the Commodore station wagon springs in it, which are fairly tough old springs, they're just a heavy duty standard height. So I'm going to drop 2 inches out of the back of it, and I'll give you a bit of a squeeze. I'd like to roll it down on a flat surface, but way too hot out there for me. Oh, I might do it. We'll see. Yeah, bugger it, I might do it. And it's going to be dirty too. This car's been sitting out here for a while, even though it's got the cover on. It's going to be dirty, and got to put the cover on. Up there somewhere, there's massive bat shit. We got bats coming across here, man. They look like flying magazines in the dark. They're huge. Anyway, I'll just give you a bit of a squeeze. I might see if I can get it out there under the tree a bit or something. There's a bit of a tree across the road there, so let's see how we go. Okay, so you can see how much of a rake it's got there on the front of it. It's probably, if you look at those running boards, there's a fair bit of distance between the difference, between the front and the back. And there's watch out for cars. There's a heap of clearance there. We're in like, that's 3 fingers in there. And I'd like the guard to come sort of just around that area there. By lowering the back of it, I'm hoping it's going to solve a lot of that problem now. A lot of the, I'll show you the construction of the rear end. Man-hard rear end, as you can see. And, oh, there's a jet engine going over again. I've got to leave this running a little bit too because the battery was flat. So, stuff, but it's all trailing arm rear end. And, I was actually going to take the bumper off it. I'll get rid of the bumper. The problem with that is, right there, which is the back of the car, and about 3 fingers is the fuel tank. And I don't want to get punched in the bum and smash my fuel tank. Because these old bumpers, man, they're like made out of leaf spring material. So, sometime, probably next week, I think I'll go and buy another pair of. You can see there's the coils. You can see they're brand spanking new. Like, they've really done no work. But I've got some decent shock absorbers. I'll buy another set of springs 2 inches lower. They'll be variable rate, so that should be pretty sweet. And I was going to change out the sway bar, but I don't know. It's kind of trying to cover up a few things with trying to, stiffen it up that way. But first thing, I'll get it to sit on the road nice and straight and steady. Another thing too with its performance, if you see these tyres, it's 215/70/16. These things come off a RAV4, a little Toyota all-wheel drive MPV type thing. So you get a lot of flex in the sidewall, so it's going to walk around on the sidewall a fair bit. So on the front, they're 16 doors, they're 8 inches on the back. And these ones here are 7s. I don't know if you can see that okay. This slightly smaller profile. And that's not a problem. They don't give any real problems. They're not over the top. I really hate those tiny little sidewall, little strips of rubber that go around your rim because it pounds the bloody potholes and all the shit into your car, and it's not good for it. But don't want to lift the front up an inch. And I'm trying to square the whole body up a fair bit. And once I've done that, I've got it steering pretty decent. There's a couple other things I've got to get onto. When I do change those springs over, I'll just give you a squeeze here. It's had a minor altercation. That area there, that's all pushed in. And I have got a mate, the guy whose Jag I did the engine up for. I'm sure most of you have seen that one. If not, go and have a look at Project Jag. That's a pretty tough Jaguar now. But he said he's got a friend. If I take both these rear guards off, or in America fenders, he can match this one up the same shape as the other one. Right. Look, I'm going to do this myself. Firstly, I mean, I don't know if he wants. I don't want anything for free, so I don't know. I wouldn't feel good. I wouldn't feel good if he said, "Oh, mate, no worries, you helped out poorly and blah 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 blah." But I'm going to try that myself. I'm going to use a fairly old method that we used to use back in the 70s when I was a new driver. When we'd stick some big fat tyres on the back of our cars and they wouldn't fit under the wheels, go up the wheel arches, and we'd pump them out. So I'll probably end up doing that. And you won't. These indicator lenses are really, they're not off this car. Not off this car. And I think they look pretty ordinary, even though they're round. I mean, the whole car's a roundly shaped car, so. And I did like what I saw on Ramblin' Rounds video. He did of a car, and they'd actually cut the. Actually rounded the corner off and filled that section in on the pillar. And I think that's a good thing. You know, round car, why would you go square corners? There's a few other things I'll be doing to it, of course. And I don't. Some of you are probably wondering, you know, he's the engine guy. When are you going to do an engine up for your old Chevy? Well, I believe, build something for what you want it to do. You know, with little money. Make us go like a tat, but is that what I want? No, I just want a good old cruiser, steady on the road, you know, legal speed limit without a problem, and so that's why, you know, if I do an engine, if I was to do an engine, I wouldn't pull this one out, do another engine, I'd get another engine, and I would go roller cam, stroke, probably supercharger, roller rocket, blah 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 blah. Yeah. But another thing I'd be doing today is, you see the cowboys have got into this one and they've welded this support panel that goes across from this side to the other side of headlight support, I guess you'd call it. I smooth all that out. I'm going to actually make a brace inside of here, which will bolt a couple of bolts through. So I'll actually be able to remove that, and that'll make getting the radiator out and all that other stuff a little easier, because this was put together engine in the chassis and then the body put back on the top of it. So now for it to be a workable car that you can actually work on, have to make some adjustments. But anyway, so that's a couple of plans I've got for you. whatever lights I decide to put in here, I certainly will have to do some boarding up with some old holes or whatever. So I'm going to give that a go. Yeah, give that a go. I'd really like to get another couple of these. Stick them on the back here, next to the park lights. These are the park lights on the back. If I could get another couple of those and stick them, you know, one there and one on the other side, that'd be pretty cool. Only got a single brake light in the back. Yeah, there's a couple of other things too. Look, there's a bit of a split here. That's actually strong as it's, but I'll grind it all out, treat it all up, weld it up, do what I have to. Some little pinholes of rust around here. And, 83 years of age, you're going to expect something. Even down, low down here, it's starting to get a couple of bubbles come up. Obviously it's got some filler in it, so that's not a big deal. I mean, that's really the only, for an 83-year-old car, man, that's about the only rust problem it has. There's a couple of stress fractures around that sand there, around this section here, because there's a lot of body flex, a lot of body flex that goes on around this thing. But you know, we'll get that shit sorted out. We'll get that sorted out. Yeah. Then I'm getting to sit on the road nice and square. Oh yeah. We've got another couple of mirrors coming. I've got some brand new ones coming from our supplier of bits and pieces, Rocket Industries. I think I did a little bit up Rocket Industries. The wind is just something else. Everything else is still working pretty good, I think. And fuel gauge is still working like a perler. It's hardly got up in the temperature at all there. There's my console and gauges and stuff and radio that's in. And when I do this dashboard, which I'm going to get rid of all this crap, and I did a video on that once before. The model or series after this in the Commodore, because this is a Commodore steering column. This is all late model, collapsible steering, blah 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 blah. They had where the indicator is on this side, on the opposite side, they had a wiper control, so that won't be a big deal. Headlight switch, 4 wires, put it in this hole here. Then I'm thinking maybe because I don't smoke in this car, this smells of like camphor and horsehair and, you know, old style, old school, you know, the old school smell. So I don't particularly want the ashtray to work, because it doesn't at the moment because it's all caught up behind this stuff, but I'm thinking I might just put a GPS in here and I don't know, make some sort of a screen or something that you don't really see it. I don't know, it's something in my head, but you know, anyway, so there's a few things been going through my head, and you're all welcome to come and watch me with what I do. When I do it, obviously, it's going to take some time, and Ziggy only works 3 days a week. That's all the work that there is for him. And Mrs. Zig, well, she lost her job at Christmas time because our dollar's doing so good. Nobody's buying fucking shit from us. So her work is minimal. Well, it's nothing now. So We just got to try and fit it into the budget, but look, you know, putting off. Oh, that's just obvious. Putting off things because you just couldn't be fucked to do it. That's not a good thing. Putting off things because you can't financially work it out. Well, that's a bit of a bummer too, because it all does take money. But cost you nothing to sit down and just work it out in your head. Have a moment, you know. I sit down and I have a beer, and I sit down with a cigarette and a beer, and sort of stare in the corner. You know, that blind sort of. My missus always says, you know, what are you thinking about? Because she knows that I'm sitting in the corner staring at something, you know, turning my head from side to side and thinking shit over. You know, a lot of work can get done there. You don't have to get your hands dirty. And I don't know whether I'm pretty sure I did on my other clip. I'm sorry for this taking so long, but I just thought I'd show you this. In 1938, Chevrolet in Australia, or a guy named Holden, had a factory in South Australia, and they put together General Motors cars back in up to 37. In 38, they spent $1 million. Well, $1 million, yeah. Well, as far as I can tell, it's $1 million of money back then, which is like what, $1 trillion now. I don't know. To build a press, to press all these panels out. And this car was pressed in four separate pieces and assembled, instead of all the panels coming from America to be assembled in. And I'll just show you, it tells you there, it's a Holden, tells you the body number, and it does have some other information there about colours and so forth and so on. And those numbers suggest that the thing was like a red oxide sort of a colour back in the day. Yeah. And if you recall those gauges, well, I've got something worked out for the oil pressure gauge. I'm just going to make an extension for it. From the temperature gauge, I'm going to have to make a tin. Replace this with a steel pipe. I'll put the temp sender in there and a little lug off it, and I'll earth it out. That'll work just fine. So I'll have actual engine and water temperature and blah blah. So yeah, I've got a few things in the back of my mind, but at the moment, as far as doing up the engine, it ain't happening. You know, all the other guys that I do motors for, that's their cars. They can drive them like rat bags and blow the bloody things up. They'll bring it back to me, I'll build them another one. Do I really want to be working all the time on my own car? Because it's something that I've done that, you know, is unnecessary? No. I want this to be as reliable as your current model Holden, Ford, Chrysler, whatever. And that's where I'm going to get it to. And I won't stop till I do. So there you go, fellas. We'll walk around the old Chevy. As we go along, I'll show you a few more other things about it, but I've got to get out of this heat, man. It's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's got to be 40 degrees plus for the 3rd week in a row. And yeah. Have a good one, chaps. I'll talk to you soon.